Hello, everybody out there in comic book land. My name is George Serrano, aka The Don, and if you're listening to this, you can only be here for one reason, and it's a brand new episode of the Major Issues Podcast, brought to you each and every week by ComicBookClique.com. And as always, I am never alone. Sir, if you could please introduce yourself.
It's me, Alex Garcia, aka the Cog, here to talk about the most ultimate of invasions, Ultimate Invasion.
Yes, I needed you here on this episode. This is baby's first Ultimate Universe here. This is my first Ultimate Universe. It's still brand new. Brand new. It's seemingly wrapping up, and we can kind of talk about that when we get to the end of this very, very long and hopefully fruitful discussion about the Ultimate Universe in general. But before we get into Ultimate Invasions issue 1 through 4 and then the Ultimate Universe number 1, I wanted to ask you, as somebody who has been around this industry for a while and somebody who was familiar with the initial launch of the Ultimate Universe in Marvel, how did you feel hearing about this event?
I was excited.
Interesting.
Yeah, I was a big fan of the Ultimate Universe. The Ultimate Universe was so innovative. It was so refreshing when it first came out. I slept on the original one though.
Okay.
I jumped into it about 6 months into it when I said, okay, that Ultimate Spider-Man book is really, really good. Let me give it a shot. Because I was waiting for like them to finally say this thing sucked. But then
Right,
after
right,
six
right.
months, everyone was saying how amazing it is. Ultimate X-Men was around the corner, and I said, okay, let me jump in. And I collected every Ultimate book from that 6 month in until the very end.
Awesome.
Until the very end, yeah. And so having it announced to be come back with a name like Jonathan Hickman attached to it, I was like, I'm there. I'm there. I had to be there.
Yeah, that was huge. See, as somebody who wasn't there for the Ultimate Universe when it was being printed, the all I had ever heard was the bad stuff. I heard about Ultimatum. I heard about the blob eating
Uh,
wasp. I heard about just what happens when everything gets too edgy or too full of Monster Energy drink, and
right.
what
Hmm.
what directions characters can go in. I heard about Scarlet Witch and her brother. Things like that. This A doesn't stand for France. So
Hey, I still stand by that line. I
it's a
love
it's,
that
it's
line.
a pretty cool line. It's a pretty cool line. Um,
It's come on. Oh, it was so awesome.
but I didn't really know what to expect from this Ultimate Invasion. I didn't really know what all this was going to end up being because, to my knowledge, the universe itself was destroyed at the end of, or I guess at the beginning of Secret Wars during the incursion. Um, Before we get into our recap and review, would you like to inform the people about our main character today, the Maker? Do you remember
Ooh.
getting
Oh,
going on that ride? Can you tell those who may not know who the Maker is, what that all ended up being?
well, you see, all right, the Ultimate Universe rode high, and then the big thing that happened was Ultimatum, where it felt like the powers that be felt they had to like make it extreme. They had to because a lot of the ultimate ideas were now bleeding into the 616 universe. So they were
Hmm.
like, "Oh, we have to do something crazy to shake to shake up the Ultimate Universe to make it more extreme and more ultimate again." They tried too hard with Ultimatum, but then if I felt I don't know how soon thereafter somebody just had the brilliant idea to say, "Let's make Reed Richards evil," where it was I forget exactly what happened. The Fantastic Four were doing some crazy mission, and essentially, from what I remember, is he basically hits his head and goes crazy, kind of thing. And
Like a soap opera.
yeah, it was very soap opera-ish, but it made sense because the Ultimate Reed Richards was always way more of a dick, a brooding teenager, not like the mature man that we're used to now in the 616 universe. So he was an
For those who
easy,
have seen, he's probably closely like resembles Miles Teller in the
yes,
Fantastic and Fan Four
yes,
Stick. That
fan four
whole
stick, right?
yeah, like you said, the whole
Yeah,
universe already starts off with an edgy slant. So just take Reed and do that with him, and you can kind of picture where they
and
were going for
so
with that.
that was so. amazing when they did that. The idea of making an evil Reed Richards, who is so out of his mind, but at the same time so clairvoyant in his evil.
Yeah.
It made for such a perfect villain. And that menacing helmet that he wears, where he it makes him look even more alien.
Like he
Because
looks like a
like
xenomorph, like legitimately, not just
yes,
alien, but like the alien from
yeah,
Aliens.
it was so lurking and so diabolical looking. And when he first shows up like that, everyone is taken aside. Like, because I think they thought he died on a mission. Like they took him on this mission. He like hits his head. They can't recover him. Sue, Johnny, and Ben, they have to escape. But then some time goes by where something happens, and they're like, "Yo, is that Reed?" And he's just like, "Yeah, but I'm crazy now."
Yeah.
And it's been great ever since. He besides him and Miles, they're the only two characters who have survived from the original Ultimate Universe.
Yes.
And now seeing him be this is Reed Richards, the smartest person in the universe, right? In the Marvel universe. And now he's bad.
I
How
feel
much more frightening do you need to be?
I kind of feel like the maker put a lot of respect on Reed's name in certain ways. I think people
Mhm.
didn't realize what that genius could be in the wrong hands. And that's part of the allure of the maker as a villain is that he's so intelligent that he's almost removed from emotion, even when he does petty things. Because man, he will tell a joke, he will be petty, but it's supposed to be the cold calculus, right, of a genius where you don't really take into account emotions, people's lives on occasion. He, quite frankly, oftentimes just wants to play God. And when the Ultimate Universe was destroyed, Miles spent his time hanging with 616 Peter and, this spectacular Spider-Man stuff and, doing his own thing. And then, but the maker kind of like floated and did like sporadic appearances. I remember him popping up in Donny Cates' Venom at one point.
Yep. Yep.
Um, and he kind of seemed a bit aimless. I'm really, really glad that this event came just to sort of give him purpose. Because in the wrong hands, a villain like this, I mean, I've seen Love and Thunder, right? Like in the wrong hands, an incredible villain can be watered down without purpose. And so I'm glad that not only did they create this event, but seemingly an entire universe for him. He's such a good villain. They created an entire universe for him to rule over.
Yeah. And what the funny thing you mentioned Donny Cates is rumors that I've heard is this was supposed to originally be Donny Cates' project.
Yes, it
But
was.
then
He car crash,
but
right?
that but yeah, got into a really, really bad car accident or some kind. He's still recovering from it. You know, Donnie, if you're listening, we got all the love for you, man. I've seen you at cons. I've seen you coming back out of it. We miss your stuff.
Yeah.
And it really stinks that like this was supposed to be your love child, but then it got passed to Jonathan, and they're doing you justice, Donnie. They're doing you justice.
Yeah, so a little bit of the homework up front. The creation of the new Ultimate Universe was a deliberate act of creative reinvention, apparently. The team behind it, writer Jonathan Hickman and artist Brian Hitch, had deep ties to the original Ultimate line and used that history to shape its new genesis. The choice of the creators was strategic. Brian Hitch was the artist on the original Ultimate series, which greatly influenced the modern superhero genre, as we spoke about when we covered the Ultimates. Hickman wrote the event Secret Wars that destroyed the original Ultimate Universe, so he kind of has, he's kind of to blame in a lot of ways here. Uh, Bringing them together for Ultimate Invasion was a reunion of two architects of the original Ultimate Universe who now had a blank slate to build something new. Hickman stated that this new universe was a direct inversion of the original Ultimate Universe. While the 2000s Ultimate line was created to be a more grounded, streamlined version of classic Marvel, this new universe is meant to be the opposite. It's more of a complex, high concept world that embraces its comic book nature, giving creators the freedom to build a layered, continuity rich story from the very beginning. The most crucial element of this new universe is its origin. It's not a world where heroes naturally emerge. It's a world where they were
Nope.
actively prevented from existing. The makers' actions give the universe a unique premise. The heroes aren't a first generation of champions, but a resistance movement fighting to reclaim a world that was stolen from them. To introduce readers to this intricate new reality, Hickman used his signature data pages throughout Ultimate Invasion. These pages, which feature text and diagrams, are a key part of his world building style and serve to immerse readers in the new political social landscape of Earth 6160. So the stories that we're tackling today set up for the universe that is bankrolling Marvel right now in terms of just the success. Absolute Spider-Man, I mean, sorry, Absolute Spider-Man, Ultimate Spider-Man, this second iteration of the Ultimate Spider-Man,
Just imagine.
Absolute Spider-Man, this new iteration of Ultimate Spider-Man has people talking about Spider-Man in a way they haven't spoken about him in a couple of years now. And in many cases, things like Ultimates and Ultimate Spider-Man still find themselves in the top selling comics of each week, each month when they're released. So I know there's a whole batch of people who are kind of curious about what's going on in that Ultimate Universe, how it differs from Earth 616, how it all came to be. So we are hosting a class here. This is Ultimate Universe,
Mhm.
101, Intro to 6160. And after this episode, where we cover Ultimate Universe and Ultimate Invasion, we'll be dipping into the individual titles that were to spill out of this, in hopes that Ultimate Incursion is something worth talking about when we get to it. Because I haven't caught up yet, but I'm hoping that when that first crossover happens, it's something we can talk about here. And the end is near. We've already talked about Ultimate Endgame, seemingly the end point for this entire universe. But really wanted to discuss the Ultimate Universe. I did a quick you should be reading about this series. I've read it a handful of times, and it's still tightly scripted, tightly plotted, smartly written. I really, really think that it holds up, and I think that this is gonna serve as a special series of comics when it all is said and done. So long as it doesn't mess up the landing, which is, classic for comic books. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed this all works out. But real quick, before we get into issue one, how'd you like this on reread?
On reread, it was like a much needed reread because there's so many. It's so fun to see where we're at now
Yeah,
and see how much was planted here.
yeah,
There were so many little details that I missed that now seeing where we're at, like, oh, or I forgot these little things that had happened. And because they really, Jonathan Hickman throws so much onto the board
yeah,
that you forget so many little details and so many little ways that this happens. And the biggest thing that I took completely forgot, which you've mentioned a couple times, is that the home 616 universe has no idea what's happening.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
He hits
Everybody's
him with
chilling.
the piece, and it's just like, I'm out.
Yeah,
No one knows what's happening. The only
yeah,
person who kind of knows what's happening now is Miles because
yes.
he has jumped over to this new Ultimate Universe recently.
And is he gonna
But
snitch? Is he gonna snitch on the homie who try to be like, yo, you want to come through? It's very interesting stuff. It's very interesting stuff.
so I mean, it was a lot of fun going back through this.
Yeah, it's definitely Hickman's level of density in this.
Yeah,
Taking notes on it was a little bit fun as you deal with timey-wimey stuff, the interdimensional stuff. I got my
yeah.
1D shirt on, just one dimension for me. I'm one and done. One dimension at a time, please. But yeah, let's talk about Ultimate Invasion. We're gonna go ahead and give our little spoiler-filled recap and review. Obviously, stopping at important parts to chop it up. But full spoilers moving forward. So if you have not read Ultimate Invasion and hope to, if you have not read Ultimate Universe #1 and hope to, consider waiting for, I guess, the ability to read it, right?
That's it.
Ultimate Invasion is a four-issue American comic book series written by Jonathan Hickman, drawn by Brian Hitch, and colored by Alex Sinclair. The first issue was published by Marvel Comics on June 21st, 2023, so just a little bit over 2 years ago. And our story starts 2 months ago. The supervillain, the Maker from Earth 1610, an alternate version of Reed Richards, orchestrates his escape from the damage control prison 42. He uses a team of corrupted therapists to recruit four mercenaries who then break into the prison to free him. After getting his suit and equipment back, the Maker betrays the mercenaries using a device to fuse them into an indistinguishable copy of himself. He leaves this grotesque doppelganger in his cell to fool his captors before making his final escape. What an opening scene. You want to talk a little bit about
Yeah.
it?
No, it was horrid. It shows how cold he is, while at the same time showing I could have escaped any time I wanted.
Yeah.
I was just waiting to be bored. And that's how nuts he is. That's how nuts he is. Oh, and by the way, he didn't hit his head. He what happened? You know what sets him off? You know what
Mm.
sets him off?
Is it
Sue
because Sue and Thing?
Sue Storm breaks up with him, and
Ah.
that's like what really sets him off because he was already an annoying, and right, he was already an annoying character. He was a
Whiny.
teenager. He was so whiny. So seeing him go down this, and then he basically goes, I don't like my world anymore, and he just kind of like snaps. And this shows just how far he truly has fallen. He takes these people and just turns them into their primordial soup, fuses them all together, and makes them into a dummy for himself. Which in the end, like, why did he even do this? Because he then goes when he escapes, he blows up the building, but the room that it was holding him was like some kind of time room, so
Yeah.
that it doesn't get destroyed, and almost immediately the body just dies.
Yeah.
But as it's dying, it says, "You don't really know how long I've been like this."
Yeah. If they
You know
said
what I
something
mean?
like if you didn't know now, you never knew or something like that. It
Right,
was
so,
like some
right.
some slick some slick shit you say right
And
before
it
you turn into a puddle of goo.
Yeah, and it was just like, yo, this is how much of a threat this dude is. Like, he just at any point in time he could have just done this. And he does this, and then he just turns a screw on it. Like, oh yeah, but who knows how long I've done this.
Yeah. Yeah. Just to see the level of planning, and the way that they panel it here, you have no idea what's going on until it's happening, and by that point, it's way too late. It's the first couple of pages, and it's just murder, death, betrayal, sabotage. And then we fast forward to 6 weeks ago. We see Mr. Fantastic and Black Panther investigate the scene of the prison break. They discover the Maker's double, which quickly collapses into a pile of gore. This is what we were talking about.
Hmm.
The Maker made one small mistake. One of the mercenaries wasn't who he expected. Sorry. Reed and T'Challa immediately realize that the Maker is free. Over the next week, the Maker goes on like Amazon shopping, like it's Amazon
Yeah,
Amazon Prime week. He goes and he steals a bridge from the secret Stark warehouse. He goes to Wakanda and steals some vibranium, four Terrigen spheres from New Atlan, a community lance from the Sanctum Sanctorum, several dilution shields from Atlantis. He even manages to steal a Krakoan gateway, which is supposedly impossible for a non-mutant to use. But he's a Maker, right?
he's the make. He is the maker. He makes a way.
He makes a way. The Illuminati are now tracking him, but the Maker is deliberately letting them, knowing that they can follow the unique energy signatures of his stolen components. The Maker then makes a surprise visit to Miles Morales, recognizing him as another survivor from their original universe. The Maker calls Miles his brother and offers him a chance to return to their home. When Miles refuses, the Maker gives him a blank calling card and teleports away. What do you think about this moment between I was gonna say Eskimo brothers, but universe brothers?
I was gonna say, is that a little racist? A
It
white
might
guy
be,
walks into
yeah,
your house. Yeah, what up,
yeah,
my
right.
brother?
Hey, yeah, 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 my brother. Like, sir, do I know you?
Is this 1970? What's going
That's
on here?
funny.
No, it was cool because if you Miles has this way of, I guess, communicating with these all-powerful people, because think about how he saved Secret Wars by
Oh yeah,
giving
yeah, yeah.
a cheeseburger to the Molecule Man, and
Hmm.
now you got Reed being like, "Hey man, you want to go home?" You you know what I mean? Like it was an interesting. interaction for these two to have. And again, this is something that I completely forgot happened until you read what the story arc that's going on now called Ultimate
Incursion.
Incursion,
Yeah.
where it calls back to this. It calls back
This exact
two
moment.
years later. It
Hmm.
calls back to him getting this blank card that he doesn't realize what it can do yet. A lot of fun to just go through this again, and it just shows the amount of respect again like that people seem to have for Miles.
Yeah, and I think it's also interesting that Miles doesn't take the offer. I mean, he's built enough of a life, of a home
Mhm.
for himself in 616. He has a little sister in this universe, which is
Right.
part of the, reason that Ultimate Incursion happens in the first place. Um, so I'm equally surprised that he went like this is like a level of, like you said, respect, right? This is like a level
Mhm.
of like this is the maker having sympathy for something
Yeah,
for
like
a moment, just to
yeah,
suggest. I mean,
like yo, don't you want to go home? You
yeah.
know?
And he doesn't do like the join me and we will rule the multiverse thing. He's just
No.
like, yo, I'm going back to the Ultimate Universe or I'm making one.
You know
Are
what I'm
you
saying?
down to come?
That's like picking up one of your boys. Yo, I'm going back to the crib. You want to
Yeah,
come?
yeah, 100%, 100%. So yeah, I was interested in him even having that bone in his body, and then Miles's reaction surprised me. But the Illuminati finally pinpoint the Maker's location, and when he activates a portal powered by the stolen components, or when he activates a portal powered by the stolen components, the Maker announces that he's going somewhere he can call his own. Realizing his counterpart's plan, Mr. Fantastic urges his teammates to destroy the portal, but a force field blocks their attacks. Then I feel like everything just gets really quiet. Because before stepping through, the Maker asks Reed, if given a chance to truly change things, would you erase me from existence? And after a moment of hesitation, Reed says that he would. And the Maker replies, I'll keep that in mind, before vanishing into his new world. He remembered this,
No.
right? My boy got a long memory here. Was this the wisest thing? What is it? What is it? You're the smartest man in the world, and you didn't realize that he made up his plan he made up his mind 10 minutes ago.
Right. No, no.
What?
You think I'm telling you this like to give you a chance to stop me? I already did it. You know, like I've already completed this plan, and now I'm just wondering, is the maker eventually going to call Reed on this? You know,
Well,
to be like,
what was interesting is that he doesn't do the same. He doesn't erase Ultimate Reed. I mean, he transforms him into something that is no longer Reed Richards, right? The ultimate version of Reed,
Mhm.
ultimately. But yeah, I think it's interesting that that Reed here. How do I say it? Like, I think it's interesting that um this feels like a moment of vulnerability from Reed, like an emotional vulnerability, because I feel like smart Reed would realize not to say nothing slick, not to even talk, not even give him an answer in this moment, right? Am I wrong here?
Right, right. I agree, but I mean, think about what Reed is looking at. Reed is looking at the worst version of himself.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
That's why it
and
feels like an
he
emotional
had,
response. Like that was he hates
yeah,
him so much he couldn't
yeah,
even
yeah,
lie
yeah.
to him in this moment and be like, "No, we would have found a way." Whatever. It's like, "No, I would have. Like I hate
Because
you." And
I
he's
mean,
like, "Okay, well,
think back on Jonathan Hickman again, his idea of the Council of Reeds. The
yes,
Council of Reeds, in order for them to be where they're at, they had to like basically dehumanize themselves. They had to
yes."
separate themselves from their families, from their loved ones, and just come together. He was the one Reed that's like, I ain't giving up my family for this.
Yeah, I
Hell
remember them
no.
all being friendly up front, and then them all being like, "Yeah, just leave them." And he's like, "What?"
Right.
He's like, "Yeah, we all left them. We all like family ain't shit to us." And he's the one
Like,
Reed that seemingly, yeah, was soft enough to that
right.
want to stick around.
Right.
So
And
maybe there is a little bit more emotion to our 616 Reed than
yeah.
the others in the multiverse.
So, seeing again, and that was a bunch of reads he can get along with.
Yes.
This is just a straight up evil freaking read. So it's devoid of emotion. It's devoid of anything you'd want to interact with. So, and now seemingly he's just like, would you get rid of me? And he's yes. Who wouldn't want to purge themselves of the evil that's inside of them? And he has it sitting in front of him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's get rid of it.
How do you think that change? Do you think that changes anything that the maker was already going to do in that moment? Do you think or do you think
Um,
we have like yet to see this come full circle?
that's what I think we have yet to see this come full circle. I
Okay.
think eventually, I think eventually he's going to attempt to do something horrid to Reed.
Okay. Interesting. But it's a brand new day on Earth 6160. Dun dun dun. Peter Parker and Liz Allen arrive at a demonstration of Dr. Schwinner's isotope genome accelerator. As Peter pays attention to the accelerator, a spider creeps up behind Peter, but it is caught by the Maker. Seemingly the first step in his mission to prevent superheroes from happening. And I love that comic books are such a far stretching medium that everyone who read this knew what this meant. You know what I'm saying? Like everyone who saw him with that spider and it's caught, wait, so it doesn't bite Peter? What are the ramifications? What are the domino effect of all that?
Right,
Instead of laying it all on the table and showing him doing, like the Teen Titans thing, right? Where Teen Titans go, where they stop all the origins from happening so there's less
right,
superheroes. Instead of
right.
going through that montage, you do it like once to the most iconic origin in Marvel Comics to kind of set the tone. I thought that was very, very well done. And then to pretend that you're doing him a favor also is a little bit of, salt on the wound there from the maker. I really
Yeah,
like that final page. What do you think?
no, that's great, and I like how later on they give you more information about what it is he because that you see him stealing all these components to create this portal to go to this new world, but
Hmm.
later on they show you one of the pieces of information that he goes to get about the list of heroes, and this
Yes.
is just one of the heroes.
Yeah,
I
because I
also
think all of us were thinking that he would find a way to go back to the destroyed universe, but at some point he has realized that he wants to make one for himself. He wants to make one where he is ruler, he is king, he is God.
right,
And that changes everything because it's one thing to want to just go back home. It's another thing to create, the way he plays God in this instance is bigger than I think the last time I saw something like this was like when Dr. Manhattan was like selecting individual moments in DC's universe to
right,
do
and
shit,
we're just slow, just moving
Yeah.
stuff a little bit, changing this.
Yeah.
Oh, you can't
Yeah.
reach this. Yep.
So to even put the maker on that level of, like I said, playing God is it's crazy.
Yeah. And when it's on second read, when I got to this point, I was like, wait a minute, why didn't he just kill the spider? Because
Hmm.
by keeping it around, it's what allows what happens later on to occur. But then it got
Hmm.
me thinking. I was like, wait a minute. As we've seen previously in the Ultimate Universe, the last time Peter Parker dies, Miles becomes Spider-Man.
Yep.
So I think Reed also knows if I kill this spider, the universe is just going to generate another way for another
Yeah.
Spider-Man to arrive. So I can't kill this spider. I just got to like hide it. I got to keep it away. So I thought that was kind of cool to
Yeah,
think
because he
about it
keeps all that
afterwards.
stuff in the city, right? He keeps like majority
Hmm.
of the
Yeah,
what they call them, the Avenger files.
yeah.
Yeah, and so it's like he could have, yeah, like you said, he could have found a big enough incinerator, but he was like, nah.
He was like, no, because the universe then will provide something else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's, that's the only thing I
That
was thinking.
he has his boot just on this universe enough. It's
Right.
not completely flattened. He knows that he needs to, hover above it a little bit, but that just is the masterfulness of his manipulations here. They're not like, he doesn't have everyone as working as slaves. Free will is still a choice in this
Hmm.
universe. He's just done just enough. Just enough. So, like we were just saying, on Earth 6160, the Maker is busy reshaping history for his own ends. He places Loki on the throne of Asgard, with Thor now bowing to him, shatters the Bifrost to sever Asgard's connection to Earth. He prevents the Fantastic Four from ever existing by delaying a rocket launch, causing the crew, including this reality's Reed Richards, to be killed, quote unquote. The Maker has
Hmm.
established a dome enclave called the City in Latveria as his seat of power, creating a new world order where he manipulates events from the shadows. His memory logs reveal a grim list. Heroes like Jim Hammond, the Stark family, and Susan Storm are dead, while other heroes like Peter Parker and Hank Pym are inactive as heroes. Thor and Doctor Strange are captured, and Reed Richards, Howard Stark, and Bruce Banner are under his quote unquote control. Despite his success, the Maker finds he can't control everything. Bruce Banner still becomes the Hulk, but an enlightened version who has found peace. Howard Stark is alive and partners with Obadiah Stane at Stark Stane Industries, where they both build their own Iron Man suits. The Maker also failed to locate the frozen body of Captain America, as Project Rebirth never existed in this reality. The Maker's influence is clear when Howard and Obadiah attend a global event at the city. They are joined by other world leaders now serving the Maker: the Hulk and his monks, the Harada Yoshida alliance, and the Rasputin family. As the Maker prepares to address his dignitaries, a wormhole opens up in the sky. Out pours clones of Captain America, Giant Man, Thor, Vision, and the Wasp, who attack the city. Obadiah suits up to fight alongside the others, but is tragically impaled by a Vision clone. The explosion of his suit renders Howard unconscious as the attackers are defeated. I like the way that they put this later. They call them time suicide bombers. The
Yes.
time traveling
Yeah.
suicide bomb. Just horde after horde of doppelganger in an attempt to kill the Maker. What a I mean, given what we know now as to the
No,
urgency of this, but wow, what a plan, and what a plan to see on a splash page.
no, which was this is issue two.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? We've just seen in the previous issue, we see him just escape,
hmm
and we get a taste of what he's changing. And now we have this whole new world, which is immediately invaded upon by a legion of heroes who are just there to vaporize
yeah,
what is going on because they know, like, we need to get rid of this. And I love the fact that, like, the Maker's kind of aware of it. Like, oh, they've shown up.
yeah, yeah,
Like, like a total anticipation of this, not totally prepared for it, but like totally aware that, oh, this was gonna happen one day. It was frightening. It was frightening, and it shows that, like you said, like the Maker could just go to a world and annihilate it, but he doesn't want that. He wants to control it, but not completely. Like it's almost like he wants a certain level of chaos
hmm
just so he can still have like a little bit of fun
yeah.
because
I
he's
wonder if that lends to the authenticity of it. I think he thinks if there's no rebellion, then it's not a real world, right? Like he needs
Mhm.
that. It's like an ingredient. So he like allows it. He's not the biggest fan of the cilantro, but the cilantro makes the tacos, so he's gonna leave it. He's gonna leave it be. You
Yeah,
know.
yeah, it's interesting because like in this world, it's kind of I feel like there's a little political allegory here is the idea that there is still a whole level of citizenship or
hmm
citizenry who like us in this world who we just go about our days. It's
Yeah.
just and all these people are in control that we don't they like even the regular people don't know. They
Right.
don't and most people don't know the Maker. They
Yeah.
don't know who this Maker guy is. They know that like, Colossus and Omega Red are in charge of like Russia. They know the Hulk and he's all enlightened and all this stuff, but they
hmm
don't understand and a lot of people I think are still looking at them like they're good guys,
Yeah.
but they're not. This is all manipulation through the Maker. So this world that now the heroes are suicide attackers. Bonkers
Yeah.
world. Issue two, guys.
I was also going to say that, confession, I love like these alternate universe stories where you have to color in the literal map. Like I love them saying like there's a Eurasia coalition and it is the Rasputins. I
Hmm.
love them coloring in different political factions and stuff like that. I know that's a big Hickman thing, especially with Secret Wars, right? The sheriffs here and the court,
Hmm.
Thor Corps or whatever. Um, but with this blank slate, they seemingly had a lot of fun putting people in certain positions. I mean, Magic has played both sides in the past. She has obviously a demonic side, but they're playing her straight up evil in this. Same thing
Yeah.
with like Colossus, So they've had a lot of fun picking specifically. And if you know any of Hickman's work, this was plotted out when he was 10. So so
I had
it
this idea in the womb.
yeah, yeah. So it all like it's all for a reason, and it all connects, and they serve so many different masters just setting this up, right? Because literally this is the beginning of all those individual series. And so he has to kind of set up the backstory, or at least the foundation from which all those stories need to start, and that's a hell of a task at hand. But Howard awakens in a prison where the surviving clones are being held. The Maker explains that they are temporal suicide bombers sent from the future to kill him. He then brings in a group of innocent people whom he says are the attacker's ancestors. To Howard's horror, the Maker has the ancestors vaporized, causing the clones to disintegrate into goo. You know, regular stuff. Regular stuff when
Yeah,
you're in charge, killing the
like
ancestors of your enemies.
exactly, exactly. He instead of just killing these people, he's like, I want to make sure your entire livelihood, your history is erased, and he kills all their his ancestors.
And what comes off as what could be perceived as a petty show of power in this instance, right? Because ultimately he could have done this with no audience, but he does this in front of Howard Stark. And we
Hmm.
find out later on is to kind of put Howard underneath his thumb. Is to kind of
Yeah.
make Howard an unwilling slave, uh, working for him in perpetuity with this constant threat, this moment here, right? He has Tony in this, he has a son, but with this
Right.
constant threat that at any point we can just liquidate, literally, like right in business sense, liquidate you and your whole bloodline.
No, because he knows that Howard still has a conscience in all this. Everyone else is pretty much bad.
Yeah,
The Hulk is bad. All the Japanese leaders, the Eurasian leaders, they're bad. But he knows. And again, like it just shows that he just likes this part of the game because he could just eliminate Howard and put somebody else in place. But he's like, no, I want to have some fun here. I want to have some
yeah.
fun. I want to be able to control somebody, put some fear in someone and make them do what I want instead of just putting somebody in place. I mean, think about it. He could probably go get the wizard to do
Oh,
this or
the
some other
engine.
the engine.
Yeah, he needs Howard to make the Immortus engine.
Oh, the Immortus engine, right? But I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah.
if he can't find somebody else, you know what I
No,
mean?
but that's what I'm saying. Like he's like, I need this guy, so I will just show him what will happen to him if he doesn't come. Like I'm gonna ask him in any minute, but before I do, let me show him what happens to people who piss me off, kind of thing.
Right, right. No, it was
Very really sick.
again. He just loves turning people to goo. Ugh.
This is a lot of people in two issues, two goos. That is a lot of goo. But Howard lashes out, pointing out that this won't stop future attacks. But the Maker replies that he cannot be killed as an infant because he is not native to this universe. He reveals that his assassins can only attack him at the height of his power before showing Howard the Immortus engine, the time machine he used to reshape this reality. He then removes his helmet, revealing a missing chunk of his skull, a result of a past assassination attempt that we haven't seen yet, but we will see soon. With his
Oh, you
memories,
see, because this is what made me think
oh, that he
he
hit his
this
head.
was a he hit his head from before, but it wasn't. It wasn't. Even though he went through a whole negative zone
Yeah,
craziness and all that stuff, but this is what made me think this was like a callback to that.
yeah. This is a conqueror-sized hole in his head,
Yes.
because he gets a little crazy. Um, with his memories now impaired because of that chunk missing, he tells Howard that he needs his help, convinced Howard is the one who built the Immortus engine in the first place. And so now you have, a man conscripted to help this warlord, warmonger, uh, you know, get this done. So at Obadiah Stane's funeral, a grieving Howard Stark and his son Tony pay their respects. Later, Tony asks his father what really happened in Latveria, having seen the news feed cut out during the attack. Just 2 days prior, Howard was in the Maker's castle when the other world leaders, all waiting for answers about the with the other world leaders, all waiting for answers about the temporal assassins. He meets Emmanuel da Costa and others who comfort him. Howard is confused to see the Rasputin family, who are supposed to be enemies of the European coalition. When he expresses his ignorance about global affairs, da Costa and the Hulk reveal the truth. The world's major powers aren't enemies at all. They've been running a decade-long conspiracy where each nation takes a turn as a rogue state to create a manufactured external threat. This keeps their citizens' attention away from any internal problems, maintaining what they call the illusion of peace in an illusionary time of war. Yeah. It's a little bit too close, huh? A little bit too
It
home.
does. And for me, did you ever read 1984?
No, I've heard stories of 1984.
I mean, 1984, George Orwell, man, the
Hmm.
frightening ideas he put in this book. I remember reading 1984 in high school and just looking to my teacher and being like, this is happening now.
Yeah, this is
And
sci-fi. This is a sci-fi book, bro. What are
right,
you?
this
This
is
is
science,
fantasy.
this is science nonfiction. And
Right,
I
right.
felt that way back in 1998 when I read that book.
That's
And
funny.
if you read it now, it's even more frightening to see because how everything is. And to see it implemented here, you could tell this is just straight out 1984 because in the book 1984, what constantly happens is there are three major powers. There's like the United States, China, and Russia, but but same thing. They're named slightly different. Like it's like Oceania, Eurasia, and the United States. Sorry if I'm
Hmm.
not getting those completely right.
No, you're fine.
And what happens is almost every day in the news they'll just be like, "Oh, today the United States is allies with Eurasia against Oceania." But it'll be like that's the way it's always been. And then a week later it'll change, and you have to be like, "No, but that's the way it's always been." So it's like the same thing here, where everyone's like, "Wait a minute, you're just constantly changing the enemy so that the people are just fooled and
Yeah,
they're distracted, in other words. Meanwhile, look, they're all sitting in a room together, chilling. Hey, pass me the tea, man.
100%.
It's
And
ridiculous.
yeah, and the thing is, it's like, it reminds me of the scene from I think it's The Boys. Yeah, it's The Boys, where Soldier Boy is watching Rocky 3. And I want to say it's at the end of Rocky 3 that they're like, we want to extend gracious thanks to the brave soldiers of that brave Afghanistan war soldiers or some shit like that. And it's because at the time they were America's allies. And
Right.
but when they're watching it in The Boys, they're like, whoa, that's like problematic stuff. And it's constantly that. It's constantly like, okay, these guys are the enemies now. Now they're not. These guys are the now. Whether it's all smoke and mirrors, one could argue, but I do know that a lot of all this fighting is very arbitrary, especially when you consider that some of it's about money, which is something we made up, which is like
Hmm.
numbers in the cloud kind of
Right. And
stuff.
and, and and speaking of even the maker himself at one point says that where
Yeah,
remember the mercenaries when the
yeah,
mercenaries like, where's our money? He's like,
$1
it's in the
billion
ether.
dollars. Yeah, he's like,
It's
what
in
they
the
want,
ether.
$1 billion. Like, what does it matter? Yeah,
In the
these are just numbers in the cloud. So, um, even though like I feel like even though they say that this is supposed to be like an inversion of the original Ultimate Universe, I think it's still nailing the commentary because I think the
Oh yeah.
Ultimate Universe was super pro, like I wouldn't say pro military, but that military industrial complex, right? Like Shield was enrolled into the government. The Avengers
Hmm.
were working for the government, and they were screw borders and all that other kind of stuff. We're Team America here. So this feels
Oh
very fitting.
yeah.
This feels very fitting for this era. This idea that all these muckety mucks are getting together and shaking hands and all this other kind of stuff. Why? And we'll find out. Not specifically in here. I want to say it's an Ultimate Universe year one. Just how, um, or it's either in that or maybe in the final thing we're talking about today. But they talk about like how heavy the propaganda machine is to constantly push who you should be mad at, and
Oh, it's yeah, no, it's kind of in both. At the end of this story arc, yeah, with the way the news
Mhm.
just totally buys what they're selling, and then in Universe Year One, the way they use Nick Fury to basically push their agenda as well.
Yeah, and it's like instead of talking about the fact that the maker just liquidated, two generations of people, they're arguing over that universe's Cracker Barrel logo. So it's like they've been they're very pointed at how things happen, and oftentimes, especially the young ones when they're reading the history books, they go, "How would an entire country allow mistreatment of a certain sect of people?" Well, we were arguing about Sydney Sweeney and her jeans, so we didn't have time to figure out that the maker is liquidating people.
I
You know,
know. Hey, I don't know if
innocently.
you heard, but Travis Kelsey and
Oh yeah, yeah. Come on,
Taylor
we gotta talk
Swift
about that.
are
What are your
engaged.
thoughts? What are your thoughts? But anyway, um, so they explain that the maker's research has shown that humanity is incapable of handling true lasting peace. The Maker then joins them, adding that little people naturally hate their powerful rulers. Instead of ruling through brute force, he gives them this illusion of war to prevent them from starting uncontrolled conflicts, allowing the powerful to focus on the quote unquote real work. In the present, Howard reveals this shocking conspiracy to his son Tony, who is equally aghast to learn that Obadiah was a part of it. Tony insists that they must fight back. Back at Stain Stark Industry headquarters, Howard agrees that he has a plan and sends Tony away for a few weeks, telling him he'll call him when he's needed. And then we catch up to one day ago. The Maker takes Howard into the deepest part of the city to construct the Immortus engine. He introduces Howard to his new assistant, Earth 6160's Reed Richards, who is wearing a metal mask similar to Doctor Doom. The Maker wants Reed to help Howard build the machine. I love this version of Reed. I love how much mystery surrounds him. And then again, that issue 4 of the Ultimates, where you break down how he ended
Mhm.
up in this thing, is one of the most heartbreaking, dark origin stories I've ever seen in a comic.
Yeah, I thought there was going to be a big not be in this series that this person is actually Victor Von Doom and
Yes.
not Reed Richards. I was like, this is too clean,
Yeah.
but then as you progress through this universe and get to that issue, you realize, oh, this is why he did that.
It's weird, right? Because like as when he shows up, he is a walking mystery. I think on purpose we are meant to question like how the heck is Reed Doom, all this other kind of stuff. And so you're not faulted for jumping to conclusions that he might actually be the real Doom and some stuff. Over the course, like you were saying, of these issues of them fleshing out the story, he becomes less of a mystery and more of a real person.
Right.
I think the mystery ends up being who he will be at the end of this. Because I still
Yes.
think, even now in the Ultimates, he isn't 100% clean cut a good guy.
No. No, he's not.
Which is still interesting that we're this far along and we're like, gosh, I still can't call it on him. I'm not sure if he's going to be the last person to help or is he going to be the the person to hurt all this at the end of the day. So really like his inclusion here. But meanwhile, in the far future, the temporal assassins are revealed to be led by Kang, who wears his own Iron Man-like
Mhm.
suit. He is preparing for one final attack to end the Maker once and for all. If it was
Right.
time, they gotta do Kang.
Well, they got to do Kang, and it also brings it around to the fact that that's why he has the Immortus engine, right?
Yes.
Because Kang is just a younger version of Immortus, because Kang eventually becomes Immortus, and
Yes.
he makes the Immortus engine, which allows him to not only travel through time, but just basically manipulate it along the way, and you know, play what he wants to play. I just still I'm still trying to figure out because maybe it's something in Marvel history that it's a blind spot to me, like how Howard Stark would have built the Immortus engine.
Oh, like by himself. I is it?
Yes.
I always thought it was like a snaking its own tail thing. Like it happened now, so it always happens.
Hmm.
Does that
Okay.
make sense? I don't
Yeah.
know if that
Yeah. Yeah.
makes
Yeah.
sense, but
Yeah. Because especially since it's a Stark, like in the comics, they've always hinted that Kang was related to Reed. Like Reed was his ancestor. So
mm,
the fact that they changed it to Stark in this, I was like, is that just an ultimate change? Maybe that's why. Because I was thinking, I was like, oh, yeah, that's right, Stark. Because I like lost myself in my thought. And I was like, wait, no, the Starks aren't connected to Kang. It's the Richards that are connected to
yeah,
Kang.
that my whole brain did that thing too, with Nathaniel and all that. Yeah.
Hmm. So I was like, how does this come about exactly?
Not sure. I'm not sure. I think we might have lost the live feed, but all this is going to go up on YouTube and audio anyway tomorrow. So we will continue to move. But yeah, this got a lot bigger a lot quicker than I thought. I didn't think by issue 2 we would be here, and then by issue
No,
3 we
three.
would
It's just
find an
like,
entire resistance force here. But I'm not gonna be mad at the pacing on this. Sometimes when a story comes
no.
out like this, you're like, why is it taking so long to just get to where they gotta go? And I feel like in Masterful Work, he managed to kind of dip in and out of where we thought this was gonna go.
Yeah, and I mean, think about it. You've reread this thing probably 3 or 4 times now, right?
Hmm.
I've only read it. This is only my second time reading it. There's so much here that you can just keep taking out. And especially now knowing where we're at, you can see, whoo, like this, there's so much here that it's like how movie directors say, show don't tell, and that's what he's doing with these pages. He's
Yeah, and
showing us it's right in front of our face, but we're not seeing it because no one is there's no And meanwhile, at the Hall of Justice, blah 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 blah, blah, and here's this load of like just imagine Stan Lee, love him, love Stan,
yeah.
but
Think
just
of a
imagine
world.
Stan telling this story.
Yeah.
The whole page would have been text. You know what I mean? Whereas Hickman is like, here, I trust Brian to draw, to show us what's happening, and here it is. And you look back on these pages, and it's like, wow, there's so much just left on the page that we just took for granted. And now that we know where we're at, it's so much fun to look back on.
And it takes a master to kind of pen that whole out. But I mean, they knew this. He had just came off of Krakoa, and like they said before, he had been one of the original sort of what do you call them, architects of this universe.
Mhm.
So it did really feel like a lot of this came from love in a lot of ways. It really felt like this came from a guy who cared about where all this went. I connected this
Yeah.
back over, but we'll, like I said, we'll still have this video and this audio, but just in case people want to continue the conversation with us. So inside the Maker Citadel, Howard Stark and Reed Richards are putting together the finishing touches on the Immortus engine. Reed reveals he knows the Maker's true origin, but can't run from his own past. He has been trapped for so long that he's given up keeping track of time, worn down by the Maker's cruel, misleading hints. And I didn't get that. I didn't get that then. Here, he feels like a whipped dog. You know Reed, and you know Doom,
Hmm.
and neither one of them are seemingly this man who is head
No.
down. We need to work. He told us we have to build this thing. Like this is a man in submission. Did you get that sort of feeling?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this is this is classic Man in the Iron Mask, right?
Hmm.
This if you know that story where this person captures the king or prince and puts him in this iron mask and hides him away and he just becomes a less of a person. That's what's happening here. He's trapped Reed behind the mask of his greatest enemy, but
Hmm.
meanwhile his captor is himself. And
I
when we
think what's
find
even
out,
worse about that is that he doesn't even know who Doom is. He has no context for Doom.
right,
It's
but
all this other dude
not,
telling him what, you know.
right, right. And then even later on, when we see how he gets to this point and how he manipulates him and how he messes with his head, and then even those little things like by putting that supposed like timekeeper,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
light,
yeah,
just to mess with him,
yeah,
just to see like look what I did to him today. Look
yeah.
what I did to him. It's just like how petty, how fucking petty, and but then also to trap him in a room that he knows Reed's genius is going to make himself work. It's kind of like, do you ever obsess about something in your house because you know you put it somewhere
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then
yeah.
you have to find it?
Hmm.
So and you spend hours like trying to find it and fix it and do all these things. Look at the room that he's trapped Reed in.
Yeah.
A guy like that has no choice
Yeah,
but to be like, I have to fix this. I have to make this work.
yeah,
But at the same time, it's like, yo, you're in prison.
yeah.
It's so messed
It's
up.
both him and Howard, and you know that they're constantly under the threat of death, and seemingly sometimes things worse than death in
Mhm.
Doom's case.
Yeah,
But
I felt like I wanted the maker to pull like a Dread Pirate Roberts,
yeah,
from
yeah,
the Princess. Oh,
yeah,
I might kill you in the morning. See you later.
yeah. But you could just feel the weight of that threat over their head the whole time.
Hmm.
1 week later, Howard prepares to hand the finished engine over to the maker. He corrects the maker, stating that this isn't the original engine but an improved copy. The first was made by someone else, perhaps the maker's past self, suggesting an endless loop. Howard then declares that he's tired of choosing between the maker and Kang. He orders Reed to disable the city's temporal shield, allowing Kang's army to breach the dome and trap everyone inside. As the battle rages, the Maker confronts Kang. When Kang smashes the Maker's helmet, the resulting temporal energy heals the Maker's head injury, and he remembers everything. A flashback reveals that when the Maker first used the engine to visit the far future, he was met by Kang, who gave him that big old head injury and told him, "You are witnessing your origin." Howard, now caught in the chaos, is thrown next to the immortal engine. He attaches it to his armor and overloads it, releasing a massive blast that knocks out everyone in the city. Meanwhile, outside the dome, Reed escapes with the Maker's original damaged engine. Before the city is completely sealed off, Howard pulls off Kang's mask, and his reaction reveals a sad shock to Kang's true identity, which has to be Tony, right?
You would think, right? I think that's what this is all leading to. Yes,
Yeah.
but
And that
we
goes
don't
back into
see
the
it.
Iron Lad. Like there's a bunch of little, like
Yes,
all those
right,
strings are tied into each other in like a really funny looking knot. But I got that idea then, and I'm reading it now, and I'm like, how could it be anyone else? What else? Who else would he know and see that he would have this reaction to? Unless it's
right.
himself, right? And he's like,
No, no, no.
damn, I no matter what I do, I end up in this loop when I get killed or
No,
some shit.
no. I'm pretty sure it's Tony. I'm pretty
Okay,
sure it has to be Tony.
that makes sense. 1 week later, the Maker's Council gathers to discuss the fate of their imprisoned leader. He's all locked up. They recall that a single month inside the city equals 1,000 years outside, leaving them to speculate that 2 years of outside time means a staggering amount has passed within. With Stark and Stain gone, they now debate how to handle the power vacuum in the North American Union, ultimately voting it to split it amongst themselves. At Stark Tower, Reed gives Tony the Maker's damaged engine, the secret files he stole from him, and a letter from Howard. Tony is heartbroken by his father's uncertain fate, but determined to carry on his mission. He builds a suit with the Immortus engine integrated into it, calling himself Iron Lad because Iron Man belongs to his father. The
Right,
story ends with Tony and Reed using the engine to find what the Maker missed, the frozen body of Captain America. Howard's letter plays over the scene, apologizing for his past failures and urging his son to fight and win. And he tells Tony that it's never too late to change the world. Such a grim story of, like I said, a man keeping his boot on the neck of an entire civilization, entire world while he plays God. And then you find this ending, this little spark. This is little, it's a little spark of hope. And it creates enough curiosity to make you want to get into this world and watch these heroes fight on the back foot, right? A lot of these other stories that we've read, especially in the beginning origins of like publishers like DC and Marvel, you have regular criminals, and then you have, someone decides to wear a mask, bust up some guys, and then that person kind of inspires supervillains. And then we kind of
hmm
go into that direction. This is the opposite of that. The supervillains are already here. They're already here. They're already cutting this entire world up for their own make. And like I said, I get the feeling I want to fight back. I want this little ragtag group like Captain America, evil Reed Richards, and Iron Lad. Like I don't know these guys from a hole in the wall, but I want
Nope.
them to win because of how evil Reed is and just how manipulative and all this has been.
And like you said, all from the, as you said, the back foot, from your back foot. You're already having your back against the wall. You're basically already defeated, and they don't realize how defeated they are because
Hmm.
the Ultimate Spider-Man goes through the origins and whatnot. But if you remember, that's spoilers for when we talk about Ultimates. But remember when they first fight the Hulk?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Uh-huh.
It's like,
Yeah.
oh no, we were we have no idea how outmatched we are. This
I
is
mean,
just
you
one
think
of his soldiers. This is just one of his soldiers.
the Ultimates is supposed to be a takeoff of the Avengers, and when you think of like the first Avengers issues, it's like, oh yeah, we beat Loki in issue one. We take down the Hulk when
hmm
he goes crazy, and it's like, no, these guys are they're barely getting out by the skin of their teeth. Yeah, and yeah, it gets really hectic, but I talk about it all the time. I love professional wrestling, and I always believe the best baby faces are ones you're just tired of seeing being picked on. You just want them to rally up, rally back, fight back. You understand? You're tired of the heel just kicking them and pointing at them and all that kind. You want to see the
You
fire
mean
up.
like CM Punk, right?
Oh my God. Well, I mean, the constant victim, CM Punk rising from the ashes. But that is the end of Ultimate Invasion, and I almost am upset that I mean, if you have the trade, they also fold in Ultimate Universe #1, and I almost wonder why that's not even almost recommended reading amongst the two. I feel like both should
It's
be. I mean, they're in the
you
trade
wonder.
together, like I said, but I feel like this almost should have been Ultimate Invasion #5 if
I was gonna
it was
say
a,
right. It should have been. It should have. I don't know why they did it like this. It's weird. It's somebody in Marvel editorial being like, I got a good idea. This is what people or it's that dumb idea of it's another number one. It's another number one. So
yeah.
number one cell. I hate that.
But
I miss the days of being like, oh,
I'm tired of characters getting another #1. I'm like, I just got that other #1. What do you do?
right.
What are you doing?
I miss the days of being like, oh, I'm picking up Amazing Spider-Man number 463.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah,
now it's like, oh, I'm picking up Amazing Spider-Man number 37 again.
yeah.
How?
How many 37s are there? Now I gotta type in the number and the year every time
The
I look stuff
volume,
up. Yeah,
and the
volume.
number
Yeah,
in the year or the volume number, right?
yeah.
It drives me nuts.
But we're gonna finish up our Ultimate Universe 101 with Ultimate Universe #1, the one shot written by Jonathan Hickman with art by Stefano Caselli. Brian Hitch is still the cover artist for this. And so this is basically after the smoke clears from this new universe being minted and Tony Stark kind of reeling from the death of his father. So, 2 weeks after the Maker is trapped in the city, a new alliance begins to take shape. Tony Stark, now calling himself Iron Lad, and Reed Richards, now Doctor Doom, infiltrate Asgard to free Thor, who has been imprisoned for treason. After freeing him from his cell, Thor goes to retrieve his hammer Mjolnir, which is guarded by his warden, Lady Sif. Thor effortlessly defeats the guards and teleports himself, Iron Lad, Doom, and an unwilling Sith back to Earth. I love that in every universe, Thor is just Thor.
I what I remember most about this issue was how much remember that first picture of when they first break Thor out of his cell?
Hmm.
That was like a big thirst picture
Yeah, yeah,
for a
yeah,
lot of
yeah, yeah,
people
yeah,
of Thor just sitting there, just like just even imprisoned Thor, everyone's just like, "Woo, I'll take some
yeah.
of that."
And apparently, like he could have done this, or what like he felt like he was unworthy. That's why he was sticking around that
Yes.
cell and stuff. And
But
I
I mean,
also,
this goes back to when it shows how the Maker made this new world. He had Thor get on his knees and put Loki on the throne, right? So
yes,
this is a defeated Thor. This is a Thor who's like, I'm doing, I guess, what I'm supposed to be doing because Loki has the throne. So I'm gonna sit here and just accept it. It's just the way it is. It's not until these guys explain to him, no, this was all manipulation and bullshit, in other words, and then he's just like, oh, in that case.
what's interesting is they're playing into obviously in this universe there's an actual factual like real world or how the world was supposed to come to be, and then this world manipulated by the Maker, right? But what I find is interesting is they're playing into also this idea that people have normally, where they're like, this can't be all that this is, or I can't
Right.
be all that I am right now. And the idea that someone would just show up and be like, oh no, you know why all the bad things are happening? Some dude is doing it. He's been behind the scenes this entire time, and you're actually meant to be a hero. Like that is like the ultimate wish fulfillment, right? Like that's the ultimate, like if we wish that would happen. So um I do not think it is unrealistic that they all jump to the chance. Or not even all of them, because we find out later on that Tony has sent or sent invitations to multiple heroes who are like, yeah, nah, I'm good. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. This just seems crazy. Yeah, good, and you're on your own. But to those who did jump, like we'll find out with Spider-Man later on, there was that missing feeling, like
Right.
this wasn't how things should have gone or how things were supposed to go, which is what helps them kind of agree or
Right.
not
I
flip
I
out over this hologram.
I think there's also some breadcrumbs that say that some people who did jump at it like fucked up. and
They died.
still
Some of them
ended up
died. Some of them got their powers and died. Like they gloss over that, but he's like, yeah. So some of them did said no. Some of them died, and this is who's like left over. Like this is who
right.
we have left. And speaking about leftovers, isn't it funny how Sith is just like fuck, like that's my criminal. I mean, that's my prisoner, so I'm gonna go because like he's still locked up. Like
Right.
if I go, he's still locked up. I'm still, what I'm saying? Like when all this is done, well,
That's it.
take his ass back.
You're out on probation. You
Yeah,
know?
basically.
Okay,
She's
okay,
huffing
that's
and
it.
puffing, but she's coming for the ride. So,
That's it. You
uh,
know what it is? She just wants to be around Thor.
hey man,
Yeah.
can you blame him? Look at that hair. Uh, at Stark Tower, Tony and Reed explain the Maker's plan. He systematically erased the heroes of this world by preventing the events that would have created them. Tony reveals that the Maker helped Loki kill Odin and steal Thor's birthright. With the frozen body of Captain America already in their possession, the group now has a clear goal to undo the Maker's changes. Thor and Sith agree to join their mission. They go to the Maker's castle in Latveria where they discover repositories holding 100 of these stolen lives. But before they can plan their next move, they are ambushed by Henry Duggery, a member of the Maker's Council. This is Captain Britain in this universe, correct?
Yes.
But
Oh,
who's
so
Henry
oh,
Duggery normally? Is that Captain Universe
Henry.
too? I mean Captain Britain? No, it's Braddock.
Henry. I thought honestly, I thought this was James Braddock. I never really caught on to that it's a different person. Henry Duggery? Is
Yeah.
that?
It's not Dum Dum Duggan's cousin. It's
No, no, I'm
616.
wondering if that's
His British cousin is named Duggery instead of Doug. Duggan. There is no Henry Duggan
no, no, it's yeah,
for
no,
Earth
there's
616.
no, he's just he's a character he made up. Wow. Okay.
Interesting. Okay, okay. Uh
And
Duggery wound.
this whole time I thought he was just James Braddock with a goatee, which made me think of Star Trek. You ever watch old Star Trek?
Oh, yeah. Like well, I got it
When
from
they go
Community, the worst timeline when you go and get
the
ghost
worst time
keys.
and they get the goatee, yeah,
The
yeah.
darkest timeline. Yeah, yeah,
Because that's what happens in Star Trek. They travel to another universe where, everything's flipped.
yeah.
So like Captain Kirk and Spock have goatees to show that they're bad guys in that world.
My God, I want to see Jean-Luc Picard with a mohawk. That's what I want to see on
You're
that
right. Oh
world.
man. Do it now. Do it now.
Now, so Duggery wounds Thor, then dispatches Reed and Sith. Tony fires a repulsor blast directly into Duggery's face, forcing him to retreat. And I like that Duggery basically rocks that mark for. I think he's still rocking it now.
Well, no,
Um,
what's funny is this character is constantly getting wrecked. So
yes,
like
he is.
he loses an eye, he gets stepped on,
And then he comes and talks like he comes back to the Maker's Council like a wounded attack dog half the time.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah, it's
to
really, really funny.
report on how he lost
Yeah,
because they
yeah.
whooped his
Just
ass or
like
whatever.
it's like, all right, so what next?
Yeah, what happened now, Duggery?
Well, I
Um,
almost had them. I almost
this
had them.
close, this close. Those crazy kids and that talking dog.
That's
But
right.
Thor, though badly wounded, manages to teleport the group and one of its repositories back to Stark Tower. Duggery, now missing an eye, informs the council of his encounter. The council sees the attack as an opportunity to seize control of the North American Union, now left leaderless after the disappearance of Howard Stark. They hack an orbital platform built by Stark/Stain Industries and fire a massive laser beam at Stark Tower. Tony uses the Immortus engine to teleport himself and his allies to safety just as the tower is vaporized. This is a false flag. This is a
Right.
terrorist attack. They have killed thousands of people in order to get the
The
public on their
people.
side,
Right.
and to point though that public at the Ultimates or anyone trying to
Or,
stop the Maker in this.
or at the heroes, right? It's like
Yeah.
turning the heroes into the villains. Oh man,
Yes.
look, and then they quickly go into all this news and the manipulation, the fake news, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy how quickly they do this.
It's
How it's just
it's
like,
very dark, and like you just said, the speed in which I'm kind of impressed slash chilled by is the speed in which they even shoot the building, right? Like it's like oh yeah, sure, yeah, like just get that done. And then yeah, like you said, everything else is just chopped liver. They've done this a million times before. They've twisted the narrative a million times before, and they didn't even have a terrorist attack to point to in the past. Now they could be like, you see, this is what they do. They're unruly.
Right.
They want to kill you. They make people fear. And so in the aftermath, the news reports announced the death of of thousands in the attack. What I like about this is that this is a central event in the history of Ultimate Spider-Man as well.
Yes.
Because this attack lists names as casualties like Emily Osborn, Norman Osborn, and May Parker. And so you have like a central event to kind of shoot off from. The news also reports a suspicious car accident in Hinokuni in Japan, where a bicyclist survives a fiery crash without a scratch, as well as new uprisings against the tyrannical rule of Lord Ra and Lord Khonshu. Meanwhile, a girl named Hasiko finds a small armored figurine stuck in her forehead, which is also the same figurine she dropped earlier in class. It's a small piece of a dream, but also a sign that something has changed. Though the public believes Tony Stark is dead, he and his allies are shown to have survived, and a new resistance against the Council now has secretly begun. And I would implore those who have heard this for the first time or have just listening for the love of the game, if you have not gotten into the Ultimate Universe and any of this excites you, jump right in. It's so much fun. All you need
Yep.
really are these 5 issues. I would call that mandatory reading to set everything in motion. And I'm not asking you, and I'm not going to tell you you're going to love every single universe book, but one of those universe books is going to read to you like it was made for you because they are
Yep.
so different and distinct in their flavor, their artwork, the themes that they tackle. But this feels like a lot of creators firing on all cylinders. You know, Peach is loving it, getting to draw and write her own X-Men book that is so different than anything I've ever read, in X-Men lore. Um,
Yep.
Ultimate Black Panther writing new lore for Wakanda and writing new lore for things like Vibranium. Like I said,
Mhm.
Peter Parker, the Ultimate
We have a,
Spider-Man being obsessive
we have an adult Peter Parker with children.
with children. A brand new minted Winter Soldier, straight off of the lab,
Ooh.
straight off of the conveyor belt. Hawkeye is getting an original. I want to say a couple issues of Ultimate Hawkeye.
Yep.
They're going to be putting out soon. So yeah, this is a fresh, brand new universe that I know that you guys would absolutely love and enjoy. But it's really hard sometimes to break through and break into some of these larger stories. So we wanted to put this together in an effort to get more people out into the comic shops, getting these ultimate books. Obviously, I want you to pick up books and read books regardless, but
Mhm.
get on this bandwagon as well because we are. This is one of those things like when hearing that Breaking Bad is good in Breaking Bad season 5. It's like get in now because it's about to end, and we could all be a part of the end together if you can jump on the bus now. Um,
Yep.
but yeah, I absolutely loved rereading this, getting right back into all things Ultimate Universe. I'm going to start as we tackle these, bit by bit. I'm going to start my rereads from number one again, and kind of pick up that momentum instead of dropping it to pick up something else to drop it to pick something else. I'm really gonna live. I mean, all month I'm gonna live in this Ultimate Universe, and might have some interesting things to say about it when everything is said and done. But the only way to find out is if you guys are constantly listening to the Major Issues podcast. But before we wrap things up here, is there anything else you wanted to say about your thoughts on the Ultimate Universe, how this all started, or what how you hope it all ends, maybe?
Well, for one, yeah, just like the Don said, jump into this universe. And the best part is you don't need to know anything about the previous Ultimate Universe. You need to know nothing. Just know that there are these two characters that survived it, Miles and the Maker, and Miles barely plays a role in it. The Maker is manipulating this new universe, and you read these 5 issues, and it really just thrusts you into it, and then you will figure out which book you like. Maybe you like all of them. It's some of the best things that Marvel has done in decades, and it's so cohesive, and there are so many, like the fact that the Silver Samurai shows up in this, and the whole
Hmm.
time I'm sitting there going, "Oh, he just showed up recently for the first time." No, he's been here since the beginning,
Yeah,
which goes to show how much planning and how much structure is actually in this world already.
yeah,
So much fun. So
yeah.
much fun.
There,
Jump on it.
That's the brilliant thing, is that the breadcrumb trail will always lead you right back to where everything first started. None of this is a mistake. None of this is being
Mhm.
done, arbitrarily. Every choice, every character, their dialogue, where they come from, how they're found, how they're introduced, all that stuff is with purpose. And that's the kind of thing that you get with somebody like Jonathan Hickman. But I will also say, incredibly impressed by guys like Dennis Camp to pick up that momentum and pick up that feel and kind of just go with it and kind of, like, I wouldn't say he's giving Hickman a run for his money, but I am impressed by what's going on in Ultimates
Hmm.
right now, considering
Big time.
Hickman is not writing it. I think that's why Spider-Man and Ultimates are kind of neck and neck right now, because you got
Hmm.
these two powerhouses cutting in. Not to say anything about the other books, but yeah, definitely killing the
Oh
game.
yeah, absolutely.
As far,
Don't Ultimate Black Panther, such a good
really,
book.
really cool stuff.
I can see why people are would be turned off by Ultimate X-Men because it is so different. Like
Hmm.
most people pick up an X book and you're expecting to see Cyclops or at least a couple characters you're familiar with.
Hmm.
It's a completely different take on the X-Men, which to me, as long as you're willing to just separate yourself from that, you really can get into that book because it's really good.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, guys, check out these books. Go check out the Ultimate books. Write in the comments below if you have been on this ride already, whether or not you're gonna get on this ride now, and use this video or audio to get other people on this ride. Because again, this we back in the day we used to have event watching, right? Everyone was watching this season finale of Friends or The Sopranos and
Right.
stuff. The more people we can get in on board for this, the bigger that event of Ultimate Endgame is going to feel. Just the same way that Endgame felt when everyone had caught up by that time and experienced it. So that's my goal here. I'm trying to push more people into the comic stores, picking up the various issues in these universes so that we can all, reach that peak together. How thoughtful. But
Heck yeah.
yeah, but that's gonna be all for this episode. I hope you guys continue to follow us throughout things like dissecting Spider-Man, Ultimate Spider-Man, dissecting Ultimate Wolverine, the X-Men, Black Panther, the Ultimates, and more. But if you like comic books in original recipe comic books, we cover all that and more at comicbookclick.com. It's a one-stop shop for everything Comic Book Click. We're putting out brand new articles every day. We are putting a new brand new focus on the website. It is truly our home, so we're doing some housekeeping and making sure that we're putting out brand new content for you guys every single day, whether it's opinionated articles, countdowns, or breaking news in comic books or pop culture. It's been a lot of fun, kind of working on things there. But as you know, we also always exist on social media, facebook.com/comicbookclick, Instagram at comicbookclick, or you can use that hashtag comicbookclick to talk about the newest, hottest, latest, and greatest things to come to comic books and comic book media. We're at Major Issue CBC on Twitter and also at Major Issue CBC on Twitch. And our podcast is available wherever podcasts are found: Podbean, Stitcher, the Apple Podcast app, TuneFind, YouTube, Spotify, and more. I love it. You just type in Major Issues Podcast, and we're like the first five search results. And I know people probably want a podcast that actually talks about the major issues of the world. That's boring. We're talking about the major issues of comics. That's the only thing that matters out here in these streets. So join us. Get on the bandwagon before the bandwagon gets full. I always sound hyperbolic when I say that we're reaching new heights and have new goals and have new things that we're trying to do. But if you people saw what was going on behind the scenes, you would know, man. Get on the bandwagon before the bandwagon gets full. This is the Babe Ruth rookie card of content here. So you want to hold on to it. You want to make sure that everyone knows that it's special, because when time comes, it'll be too late. So make sure that you're following us and everything that we do, especially on YouTube. We have constant video content coming out. The Cog is constantly doing his major hauls every single week, shouting out good creators and good comics to come out every week. And then we team up the dynamic duo once a month to tackle the major preview series, where we look into the solicitations and each pick out 3 comics we think you guys should pick up in that month. And that's been a blast. And then video versions of this podcast go up on that YouTube as well. So we have the audio content coming out. We have the written content on the website. We have the video content on the YouTube. Wherever Comic Book Click is, comic book content lives. So make sure that you're following us everywhere across the board. Last thing I want to say is over there at comicbookclick.com, we are we have a roommate. They're the guys over at dirtsheetradio.com. And those guys are killing the game and are the industry leaders in all things professional wrestling and pop culture. They're currently trying to be murdered by WWE, who keeps putting WWE events right alongside AEW events. And I feel bad for my guys for having to cover two events in a single day, plus things like Raw, SmackDown, AEW, Ring of Honor, AAA, New Japan Pro Wrestling, and more. They have post shows and reviews for almost every single thing professional wrestling, past, present, and future. So make sure that you're showing love to the guys over there at Dirt Sheet Radio. But is there anything else you want to plug, Cog?
No, man, you got it. You got it all. Just keep track of us every which way. Even look for our pay attention to our X. I
Yeah.
know we got some traffic there. Check me out. My Facebook, Alexandario Gravitas at Facebook and on Instagram. I'm constantly sharing stuff out there. So yeah, I mean, we're firing on all cylinders right now, guys. So if you wanna keep your thumb to the pulse, keep track of us.
Yeah, man. It's going to be a fun 2026, but we still have a whole lot of 2025 to get through. So make sure that you are going with us on this ride because we are going to the moon. Which means that there's nothing else left to say, but my name is George Serrano, aka The Don,
And I'm Alex Garcia, aka the Cog.
and this has been our Ultimate Universe 101 Intro to 6160. And remember, whether you're an evil doppelganger trying to get out of your dad's shadow, or looking to start your own world, or just like this one exactly how it is, remember that we are the Click, and always remember that you, yes, you, are worthy. Thanks, guys.